Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. What is light? It's right in my face. Thank you all so very much for tuning in. This is going to be an amazing webinar. We're going to go over the importance of correctly filling out your W-4. This is one of those things that you really do not want to miss. So now's a good time. Like if you know any of your friends that are interested in giving themselves a raise on their very next paycheck, not overpaying taxes and things like that, this is definitely the webinar for them. We're going to be really quick. Probably no more than about 30 minutes. We'll get started right on time. We'll get started right on time. So, also what you want to do is during the webinar, if you jot down any questions that you have, right? Anything that comes to your mind, literally anything, no question is too small. Okay, jot down any questions that you may have. And then what will happen is at the end of the webinar, I cannot hear you, but if you post it up in the right-hand corner, it's going to say chat room. So you can go ahead and post questions in there. And then that way I can make sure that I answer them right after the webinar. Okay? Okay, so like I said, we'll go ahead and get started really soon. My name is AmmaTheCPA. I go by your favorite CPA's favorite CPA, AmmaTheCPA. And I'm doing these webinars because I truly, truly just love entrepreneurship, and anything that I can do to help out entrepreneurs or help out people in general. Just so you know, my mom is a retired school teacher and a school administrator for a Chicago Public School District, and my dad, he's actually retired from the IRS. Okay, so he was an IRS agent. So I always feel like I have the best of both worlds, you know, where I love numbers and just that's really my passion. But then I also love teaching and providing service and giving back, same like my mom, you know. So I have like the best of both worlds. So that's how I come to just serve, and anything that I can help anybody with, I'm always more than happy to do so. Okay. And so what is a CPA, right? So it stands for Certified Public Accountant. That is actually, that's actually the highest level that you can achieve in accountancy. Okay, so it's about like 6 to 7 years of school, different education that you would have to go to. It's similar to the bar exam, how you have 4 years of undergrad, then you have a couple years of your master's or graduate program, right? With the CPA, they require an additional year of college, and then you can sit for the CPA exam. So it's a nationwide exam. It's super duper hard, but it's one of those things that is serving the public, okay? It's Certified Public Accountant. So I'm here to help everybody, especially with finances. I know that sometimes, especially in our community, it's like the big secret. You know, nobody wants to talk about finances. Nobody wants to really know and really see how well or not so well that they're doing. So if I can help anybody, even if it's just one person, then I'm happy with that. So before we get started, now's a good time to kind of pull up a blank W-4 if you did not get a chance to download it already. Okay, so if you did not get a chance to download a blank W-4, then you want to go ahead and you can do that now. Or while I'm going through each line, I'm going to go line by line. you can just kind of jot down on a sheet of paper. Okay, just jot down what it would be for your specific situation. I'll kind of go through, I'll read each line and go through what you need to include so you can stop overpaying taxes. Okay, so that's what this really is about. I don't know if you guys knew, but like over 100 million Americans have their W-4 filled out incorrectly. And that's crazy when you think about it. It's like, you know how many people that is? And what that means is that if your W-4 is filled out incorrectly, you are overpaying your taxes. You are giving your money away to the government tax-free. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So, one more thing. One more thing before we get started. So get ready to like jot down, like I said. But if you don't, jobs are different, right? Every job is different. So let's say some jobs will have you actually bring in the form. So just follow along with me, write everything down, because they may ask you to bring in the actual form and submit that to your human resources department. Some jobs may require you to go online for human resources and just put in the number of exemptions. So that's what we're going to go through right now. So just a sidebar, an exemption and an allowance is the same thing. Okay. So if you go through your job, they may say enter in your number of allowances or enter in your number of exemptions. That's the same thing. That's some of the questions that I get like after maybe a couple of days after the webinar when people are completing the form. So when you complete this, you should see an increase on your paycheck depending on what you had before you submitted it. So always say if you were claiming exempt and now you adjusted to 7 or 8, you won't see a difference. You won't see an increase rather. So, but let's just go through it. And I hope everybody, hope that was enough time for everybody to go ahead and look at, get everything together, you know, your W-4, get that ready, or if you're just going to write it down on a piece of paper. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's get started with line A. For line A, you want to go ahead and enter in a number 1 for yourself. Line B, enter a number 1 if you're single and you only have one job, or if you're married and have only one job and your spouse does not work, or if your wages from your second job or your spouse's wages or the total of both are $1,500 or less. Then you want to enter in a number 1 right there. Okay, if those apply to you, then you want to go ahead and enter number 1 on line B. So for line C, if you are married, enter a number 1 for your spouse. Now this only applies if you are married and you file a joint tax return. Then you want to go ahead and enter in a number 1 right there. Okay, and that's for line C. Now for line D, enter the number of dependents that you plan on claiming on your tax return. Now, dependents are not you or your spouse, even if they don't work, okay? Or even if you don't work and you're married and filing a joint tax return. Dependents is just people that you are taking care of, mainly children in your home, but also any other relatives that may be living with you that you provide food and clothing for and shelter. So you want to enter in a number 1 for the dependents other than not including you and your spouse that you claim. So put that number on line D. So on line E, enter a number 1 if you file head of household. Now, you know if you filed head of household in the past. Okay, so if you did file head of household in the past, or you plan on filing head of household for this upcoming tax year, then go ahead and enter number 1 right there. Okay, now we are on line F. So for line F, you want to enter a number 1 if you have at least $2,000 of child or dependent care expenses for which you plan to claim. So this is basically child care. This is child care. So if you pay for, even if your child goes to half-day preschool and the rest is half-day child care, then you want to include that as well. So any child care that you pay, if it's more than or at least $2,000, then you enter in a number 1 on line F. Now for G, this is for the child tax credit. Okay, so if your income is less than $70,000 or $100,000 if you're married, then go ahead and enter in a 2 for each eligible child, then deduct 1 if you have 2 to 4 eligible children. So for example, if you have 2 children, then the number would be 4, but then you want to go ahead and deduct 1 if you have, because you have 2 children. Okay, and then deduct 2 if you have 5 or more eligible children. So if you have 5 or more eligible children, then you still include 2 per child, and then you deduct 2 because you have 5 or more children. Okay, now if your income is between $70,000 and $84,000, then you just want to enter in a 1 for each eligible child. And if you're married and your income is between, your joint income is between $100,000 and $119,000, then enter in a number 1 for each eligible child. Now for H, you just simply want to add lines A through G. So I'll give everybody a second to add those lines. Add up lines A through G and put the total on H. Okay, moving right along. Turn to the back for the deductions and adjustments worksheet. So for line 1, now this is where you want to include any, if you file a Schedule A, this is where you want to include if you plan on filing a Schedule A or if you have filed a Schedule A in the past, which is for itemizing your deductions. So for line number 1, you want to enter in the total estimate of your itemized deductions, right? So what you want to do, if you filed a Schedule A last year, then you can go ahead and pull that out, and you want to put the number from line 29 on your Schedule A right here for line number 1. If you did not file a Schedule A last year, if you did not itemize your deductions last year, and you aren't sure what you are going to, you can use the estimate based on your mortgage interest and charitable contributions of the year. Now for line number 2, enter in $12,700 if you're married and filing a joint return, or also enter $12,700 if you are a qualifying widow or a widower. Enter in $9,350 if you are filing head of household. And lastly, and not least, definitely not least, you enter if you are single or if you're married filing separately, you want to enter in $6,350 on line number 2. For line 3, we simply want to subtract line 2 from line 1. Now, if you get a negative number, you want to put 0. We do not want a negative number on that line. So if you get a negative number or less, or zero or less, if you get zero or less, then put 0. For number 4, this is specifically if you have a home-based business. You want to enter in an estimate of your adjustments for the year to income. Any adjustments that you have for income. So only if you have a home-based business do you want to fill this in right here, because we can take our deductions throughout the year instead of waiting till the end of the year for a refund. So you want to put either $4,050 or $20,000. So let me explain the difference. If you are new to having a home-based business and you aren't really sure what you get to write off or how much you're going to write off, then you want to put $4,050. If you've had a home-based business in the past, or if you just know, even if you're new to the business and you know that you are going to really work your business to try to generate an income, then you want to put $20,000 on line number 4. Now simply let's add lines 3. For number 5, we want to add lines 3 and 4 and put that total on line 5. For line 6, you want to enter in an estimate of any non-wage income that you have. So basically this is dividends or interest. If you have any dividends or interest or any other non-wage income, then you want to go ahead and put that for line number 6. For line number 7, simply subtract 6 from 5. Line 6 from line 5. Again, we do not want a negative number right here. So if you get 0 or less, then just enter in the number 0. Moving right along, line 8, you simply, let's divide the amount that's on line 7 by $4,050. And do not include a fraction. Now for line number 9, enter in the number that we had on the front that was line H. So go to line H on page number 1 and bring your total to the back side of the page and put that number on line number 9. And now you want to add lines 8 and 9 for number 10. For number 10, add the totals that's on line 8 and line number 9. Add up those totals. Okay, now this is the end of the bag. We do not want to fill out the 2 earners portion of the W-4. So this is it. So for the back side, so now the number that you have for number 10, let's go back to the front. Go back to page 1 and you want to put the amount that you have on line 10 on line number 5, which reads total number of allowances you are claiming. In parentheses from line H above or the applicable worksheet on page 2. So we want to put the number, the total number of allowances that we are claiming, write that number on number 5. And now, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. You can fill in the rest of the information that's on the bottom portion of the first page of the W-4. Your first name, last name, all of that personal information. You complete that and turn it into your job tomorrow. Okay, at this time, we'll take any questions. Hey, okay. So I hope that that was really helpful for everybody, that has joined us. Thanks again for tuning in. So if you have any questions, just go ahead and type them in the chat room. You type them in the chat room, and then I can answer your questions in there. I see I have Lakeisha is trying to request. Lakeisha, if you just go ahead and type it in the chat room, I can answer your question from there. Okay, but while she's doing that, so let me just say that one of the things that you do want to be cautious about is if you do not have a home-based business, okay, do not, by any circumstances, do not complete the portion that was number 4, where I went over where you would put the 4,050 or the 20,000. That is specifically for home-based business owners, and you don't want to do that and get yourself in trouble unless, of course, you have a home-based business. Just from having a home-based business, we see so many deductions that is almost insane. It's like an insane amount of additional deductions that we get from having a home-based business. Me personally, I'm part of a Nove powered by my econ. Okay, if any of you guys ever heard about it. And just from my perspective as a certified public accountant, one of the things that I love about this company in comparison to other home-based businesses is that we really focus on your personal financial success. Okay, where a lot oh, hi, Lakeisha. Yes, ma'am. I will make sure that we send out the replay. Okay, I'll make sure that I'll send out the replay. So we focus on your personal financial success as opposed to a lot of these other companies. They will focus on what you can do for the company. They focus on making sure that you sell a lot of product. It's a lot of requirements based around different product, and you go in somebody's basement, okay? You go in the basement, is loaded with all this product because they had to purchase that. So what we do, we just focus on your personal financial success, and basically these type of deductions is really available for any home-based business owner, okay? And that's what I don't like about other businesses, other home-based businesses, is they don't want you to know that. Whereas I'm telling you that regardless of whatever home-based business you're in, you get to take advantage of the deductions on the back side of the W-4. You can still fill that out. You're welcome, Lakeisha. You can still fill that information out, and it doesn't matter, okay? But the thing is, you do not want to fill that information out if you are not in a home-based business. Just on the backside, number 4, okay, you can still fill out 1 through 3 where it has the itemized deductions, and if you have any dividend income, you want to make sure you adjust for that. But that's pretty much it. So it's really important, because the thing is that so many Americans end up overpaying their taxes, okay? And what that means is essentially, how we may go to a bank if we have a business idea or something like that. We may go to a bank and get a loan. The bank is not going to give us the money for free, right? They're going to charge us interest, right? Right. So the bank charges us interest, but then you give your money to the government and you don't charge the government interest. So what happens is the government loans out your money, right? They loan out your money all year to different things, different student loans. You are putting people's kids through college that you don't even know. You're building railroads, you're building highways and infrastructures and things like that that the government has to pay for. And then you don't see any benefit of it. Okay, so that's the purpose of this, and I hope that this was helpful. If somebody puts you on this webinar, please get back with them so they can help you set up your home-based business so that you can take advantage of all the tax deductions that we are privy to as home-based business owners. Make sure that you get back with the person that put you on this webinar, but do not adjust your W-4 and then not get back with the person. Don't do that. Okay, let's see. Andre says, what happens if you don't have enough write-offs at the end of the year? More than is the extra cash flow owed back? Okay, so are you saying, so if you don't have enough deductions at the end of the year, what you can do, Andre, is this. And that's a really good question. I'm so glad that you asked that. The thing with the W-4 is that you can fill it out however many times you want to throughout the year. Okay, so let's say right now, today is March 13th, right? So you fill it out and you are gung-ho about your business and you say, you know what, I'm going to have $25,000 worth of deductions, right? But you're tracking these deductions, you're keeping track throughout the year to see how many deductions you actually have, because we have to keep good records as entrepreneurs. Okay, we have to. If you are a part of my econ with me, then you know we have the cash flow strategist to help us do that, and the cash flow management software to help us do that, right? But if not, whatever system you have, just make sure that you're keeping track of good records. So what happens, to answer your question, Andre, when you get to August and you see that you only have $5,000, right? At this point, $5,000 in deductions tracked in your software. At this point, you can make a decision. You can say, I'm gonna either ramp up my business, right, from September through the end of the year, or let me go back and readjust my W-4 to be 5,000 or 10,000, whatever it is, because that's a really cool thing. And that's, like I said, that's an excellent question. But the cool thing is that you can adjust your W-4 whenever you feel like it. So when you get to that point, if you feel like you are not going to have enough deductions, then you can just adjust it back. That's fine. Nobody will say, why do you keep adjusting your W-4? They won't say that. I hope that was helpful. Is that helpful? I hope so. So if we have any other questions, you can go ahead and type them out in the chat room. Like I said, you put your question in the chat room, and then I will try my best to answer it for you. And like I said, I hope that was helpful. Andre, I hope that made sense. The other thing that I do want to point out, when you do turn in this form, dependent on your job, right? Because different jobs have different pay cycles. So a lot of jobs will, oh, good, I'm so glad, thank you. That's awesome. So a lot of jobs, they will have where they hold a paycheck in arrears. So for example, some jobs may have where you get paid on Friday, but it's really for the 2 weeks prior. It's not, so it's not, let me look at the calendar. So let's say you get paid on a Friday. Let's say you get paid last Friday. Okay, so if you got paid last Friday on the 10th, some jobs may have that may have been actually the week worth of February through March 3rd, and then you're getting that paycheck. So whatever your pay cycle is, just make sure that you look at the calendar so that when you adjust your W-4, you aren't expecting a change depending on your, make sure that you're expecting a change based on your payroll calendar and not just like it, because it may not happen right away because they may have already submitted that payroll. Okay. So I hope that was helpful for everybody. We'll go ahead and get out of here if we don't have any other questions. Like I said, my name is AmmaTheCPA. You can find me on Instagram at AmmaTheCPA, right? At like the Instagram symbol, the Instagram symbol, AmmaTheCPA. Or you can find me on Facebook. My full name is AmmaNancy. And feel free to, oh, you are welcome, Mecca. Thank you for joining. You are so very welcome. Or feel free to inbox me any questions or concerns that you may have, and I'll be more than happy to help you. And make sure you get back with the person that put you on this webinar. You're welcome, Jermaine. Thank you for joining. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I will see you guys soon. Again, this is Alma the CPA, your favorite CPA's favorite CPA. Have an amazing day. Oh, thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Takara. Thank you, Megan. So glad you guys joined. Thank you so much. Good night.